Let's take a moment together at the beginning of this meeting. Time to arrive here in our minds as well as our bodies. Time to put aside the busyness of the day so far and to prepare ourselves to focus on the business of this meeting. Tonight we give thanks for this past year and we look to the future. We meet as the newly elected council, some members returning and some here for the first time. We give thanks for the hard work, dedication and commitment of all those who offer their time, energy and talents to this community. And so we give thanks for the work of our outgoing Mayor, Councillor Michael Brunt, and Deputy Mayor, Councillor Edith McCauley, for all that this year has held in terms of civic duties and responsibilities, and for all that has been celebrated and supported, for the work of the Mayor's charities, Marie Curie and Christian Care Merton. So now we give thanks for the new Mayor, Councillor Joan Henry, and Deputy Mayor, Councillor Agatha Akinina, for all the promise of this new year. We give thanks for those who have served during this last year and are not here this evening, those who have stood down and those not been re-elected. We give thanks especially for new members of this council who have much to learn and much to offer. We give thanks for all whose work is to enact the decisions of this council, those who work in these council offices, in the schools, parks and streets of this borough, that plans laid in this chamber may be well formed and actionable for the benefit and well-being of this community. And so we pray, faithful God, may your peace and love be present amongst us as we meet this evening. Come, bless our gathering with unity, wisdom and hope. We pray for a unity of purpose. Be with this newly elected body and build in us all a deep respect for one another so that we can work together for the common good of all in this borough. We pray for wisdom. May our thoughts and conversations be filled with wisdom and lead us to right choices for the flourishing of all in this borough. We pray for hope. Come stir your hope in our hearts, strengthen our resolve and remind us of our promises to achieve the best possible outcomes for all in this borough. Faithful God, hear our prayer. Amen.
Sit down. Are there any apologies for absence this meeting? Councillor Bill. Councillor Brown. Councillor Barlow. Councillor Burke. Does any member present have an interest to declare? Good to hear, thank you. Please note that this meeting is being filmed and may be published on the Council's website. Therefore, by entering the chamber and sitting anywhere except in the appropriate seats in the public gallery, you are consenting to being filmed and to the possible use of those images and sound recording to a publication. If you require further information, please speak to a member of staff after the meeting. Members, when you're speaking, your microphone will be operated automatically for you. Please can I remind people to put their phones on silent at that point as well. Thank you. I call for nominations for the position of Mayor of Merton for the municipal year 2022-23.
Mr. Mayor, Deputy Lieutenant, councillors, colleagues, officers, guests, it gives me the utmost of pleasure to nominate Councillor Henry to be the first citizen of this great borough of ours, to be our mayor for this next municipal year, to chair our meetings, to keep us united and together and at times apart, to represent us in the community, to raise funds for worthy causes and to do as Carl says. Mr Mayor, Councillor Joan Palmetta Henry was born in Jamaica, in Thornton in the region of St Thomas, into a family of 10 children, and many are here tonight. Times were tough then in Jamaica. Aged just 7, Joan would regularly make the 4-mile journey to school on foot, there and back. Politics featured in the family for Joan at a very early age through her grandparents who ran a sugar plantation. Her grandmother, Imogen Pinnock, was always fighting for the rights for working farmers to own the land they tilled. Imogen would take the young Joan with her to the political rallies in the town square, sit her down in the front row, where she could listen, watch and learn how to lobby for rights of workers. Joan's parents emigrated to England in 1959, settling in nearby Tooting, leaving her in the care of her grandparents and more politics. At the age of 27, Joan decided to herself emigrate to England with her 3 children, joining her parents in Tooting. Joan then attended South Thames College and Queen Mary's in Putney and undertook an access course in nursing. While a nurse at both Bolingbroke Hospital and St George's Hospital, Joan became a special constable. As a special constable, and in 1996, Joan covered every shift from 6 in the morning until 8 p.m. at night at the Wimbledon Championships, when it famously that year rained for every day of play during that fortnight. But very soon she will be under the cover at the Tennis Championships, in the Royal Box. Calmer indeed. Joan did over 10 years as a special constable and received her commendation for her long service from the then brilliant Home Secretary, Jackie Smith. In 1990, Joan bought her own house for her family in Mitcham and has been there ever since, and quickly started volunteering for Merton, Victim Support and Marie Curie and many, many other organisations. Her volunteer efforts included a long walk from Charing Cross in central London to Canterbury Cathedral, raising over 3,000 for homeless people. Between 2003 and 2011, Joan was a foster parent to 16 children. Many of the children have gone on to university and have had great careers. It is a testament to the fondness that foster children have for Joan when I can confirm tonight that they still keep in touch with her to this day. In 2012, Joan met Siobhan McDonagh, another excellent MP, and the local councillor Brenda Fraser, and they spoke about the work of a councillor, and the rest is history, as they say. Joan was duly elected a councillor in the ward of Pollard's Hill in 2014-2018, and just recently completed a hat-trick of wins in the local elections this month. Now, when I was leader of the council, can I break off here and talk about that? 10 years. Anyway, it's not about me, it's about Joan Henry, I know. So, when I was leader of the council, Joan would always make a point of inviting me to events to mark Black History Month in Pollard's Hill Ward. And I know Councillor Welton, when seconding Joan, will touch more on Councillor Henry's work in her ward. Joan has been an avid committee member here in the council and has been a member of the following committees, and this is where councillors really want you to name the committees they're on. So I'm really sorry, but it's one of those things. So, Councillor Henry has been on licensing, standards of general purposes, planning, children and young people, sustainable communities, healthier panels, healthier communities and other people, panel joint consulting committee, and those lively committees being the cemetery board and the crematorium board. Joan has, in the very recent past, been chair of the Labour group, probably the best chairing experience one can get. Mr Mayor, Deputy Lieutenant, councillors, colleagues, officers, guests, it is not a possible probability, but a racing certainty that we will be served well by Councillor Joan Palmetta Henry. I therefore so nominate. Thank you very much.
Is that nomination seconded?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to second the nomination of Councillor Joan Henry to be the 58th Mayor of the London Borough of Merton. As a colleague of Joan since 2014 and a Pollards Hill Councillor since 2002, it is a great privilege for the ward to have the next Mayor. Since our foundation as a borough in 1965, Pollards Hill has only had 2 mayors, Tom Bull in 1980 to 81 and myself in 2008-9. Hopefully tonight, Joan will be the 3rd. I know many people locally are excited by the prospect of having another Pollards Hill mayor, and I know the community will be incredibly supportive, as they were when I served 14 years ago. Being the first citizen is a wonderful privilege, bestowed on a few, but recognised by many of the public as part of our civic identity. With this year being the Platinum Jubilee, it will have even greater recognition as we recognise the service of Her Majesty the Queen over the past 70 years. Joan, as a person, is deeply committed to her community, and especially Pollards Hill. Her tireless dedication to helping people with whatever problem they may have, but also working closely with many in the community, the voluntary groups and the church groups within our ward. With her work, it's also widespread recognition in the community about her ability to get things done. Many of us here have been regaled with the work of the Hadley Road allotments and how she's been a driving force in getting people involved in those allotments, but also as well her passion for the local Pollards Hill Youth Centre in terms of securing additional funding, and as Councillor Alan Brittis mentioned, organising Black History Month events in the library every October. I have no doubt Joan will be a great ambassador for this borough over the next year, and anyone who has undertaken the position of mayor knows how demanding this can be. But you also get the opportunity to see many different sides of the borough, and many of our unsung heroes who contribute so much to making Merton such a great community to live, work and learn. And whichever party you have been elected from in this chamber tonight, I hope that you all collectively support the civic side of the borough and the mayoralty, especially in the work in raising money for the Mayor's charity. And I am absolutely delighted that Joan will be choosing the Don's Local Action Trust as one of her charity that do so much to help the local community in this borough, but also support the weekly food bank in Pollards Hill, which has supported thousands of families over the past 2 years. The work of the Mayor also stretches far beyond the confines of keeping us in order in this chamber. It is important that we work alongside the Mayor, support the Mayor as they are about to undertake this position. Finally, we will get the opportunity to thank you later tonight, but can I offer my thanks for your service, Mr. Mayor, as the 57th Mayor, and for everything you have achieved over the past year. I ask Council, therefore, to support the nomination of Councillor Joan Henry as the 58th Mayor. Thank you.
Are there any other nominations? Therefore, is that agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. Councillor Henry, will you now leave the chamber to put on the Mayor's robes? While you're out there, would anyone else like to speak to the nominations? Joan, a moment to leave. Councillor McLean, you wish to say something?
May I congratulate Councillor Henry on her election as Mayor, and I have no doubt that she will show great dedication to the role as first citizen of the borough. And she can certainly count on the full support of the Conservative group, because supporting the mayoralty and indeed attending civic events is such an important part of community leadership and central to the role of being a councillor. I also know that Madam Mayor will hold the impartiality of the Mayor's office in public and in this chamber. And I am glad that the previous council unanimously passed the motion so eloquently put forward by former Councillor Wilkinson and the Merton Park Independent Residents Group that motions that come before council must adhere to the SMART goals of being specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and timely. We have only 5 normal meetings of the council a year. Far too much time has previously been devoted to councillors that have been talking about national or international issues when they could have been getting on with the job which they were elected to do and improve the lives of Merton residents. I know that her office will strongly adhere to the principles of the SMART goals, and the Conservative group look forward to supporting her through what I'm sure will be a successful and a rewarding mayoral year. Congratulations. Thank you.
I'm pleased to announce that Councillor Joan Henry has been duly elected Mayor of the London Borough of Merton for the municipal year 2022-23, and very shortly Councillor Fraser and Councillor Welcome will bring Councillor Joan Henry into the chamber. Pleased to tell you that you've been elected as Mayor of the London Borough of Merton for the forthcoming year, and I'd like to wish you the best for your mayoral year.
The Mayor and the Chief Executive will now sign the Declaration of Acceptance of Office, and the Mayor will receive her chain and badge of office. The Mayor's assistant will now place the chain of office on Madam Mayor. And the Mayor will now announce the Deputy Mayor for the forthcoming year.
I am pleased to appoint Councillor Agagina as my deputy for the forthcoming year. Would you please come forward?
Executive will now sign the declaration of acceptance of office, and the Deputy Mayor will receive her badge of office. The Mayor will announce her consorts and her arrangements for her chaplaincy.
On the side will be Mr. Roy Gray. Mr. Kenneth Scott.
Mr. Floyd Blake will be presented with the badge of office, and Reverend Scott will be presented with the cross. And the Deputy Mayor will now announce her consort. Be presented with her badge of office. And the Mayor will present the outgoing Mayor and Mayoress with their badges. And I believe we may have omitted to present the Reverend Scott with her badge, so perhaps we can do that now. Many apologies. I believe that's done, in which case we're moving on to the part of the agenda when the Mayor presents the outgoing Mayor and Mayoresses with their badges. So perhaps the Deputy Mayor and her consort could make their way back to their seats. Thank you. Thank you, and the Mayor will now present the outgoing Deputy Mayor and Consort with their badges. And I believe the Mayor's Executive Assistant may also have some flowers for Councillor Macaulay. And would you all now please stand as the Mayor and Deputy Mayor take their places on the dais? Please be seated.
Deputy Lieutenant Mr. Chris Cotton, fellow councillors, distinguished guests, family and friends, good evening. I am delighted and privileged to be before you as the Mayor, the first citizen of the Borough of Merton for the year 22-23. To outgoing Mayor, Councillor Mike Grant, I thank you for your guidance and congratulate you on an outstanding year. It has been a journey to be now holding this great office and to be able to represent our wonderful borough of Merton. I look forward to engaging with the local community. Coming from the beautiful island of Jamaica, I arrived in the UK 43 years ago with my 3 children. I first lived in Wandsworth with my parents and siblings before moving to Merton 32 years ago. It's very emotional. My grandparents, parents and siblings have always been, in one way or another, serving the community and giving back. As a eldest, no one was surprised when I became a councillor in 2014. And it has been my most rewarding experience serving the community of Pollard Zero and contributing to Merton being a great borough to live in, work and enjoy. None of my achievement could be possible without the people of Pollard Zero, who re-elected me for a 3rd term on May 5th, 2022, and I got the most votes. in Colorado because they know what a special place they have occupied in my life. I want to thank my ward colleagues, Martin Welton and Aidan Monday, for all their support. I also would like to say a very special thank you to my colleague, Councillor Fraser, who has been like a soft pillow to rest my head on when I'm in need. And I tell you it's true, many times when I'm down there calling her and she always picks the phone up. My deputy, our consorts, and I are pleased to be elected in the year of our Queen's 70th Jubilee anniversary and are looking forward to an exciting, engaging and memorable year. The pandemic has highlighted the importance of community spirit and togetherness, and so I am pleased to announce my charities for the year being Dawn Local Action Group and Jimmy Hasher Foundation. Formed in response to the pandemic, the Dawn's Local Action Group is a local network of volunteers offering support and helping those in our community to fight poverty. The group provides food parcels, household goods, furniture, and appliances. They also provide laptops for children to access online learning through their Kids Connected intervention. The group work covers Merton, Wandsworth, and Kingston. Jimmy Hatcher Foundation offers support to young people from diverse backgrounds who wish to make positive life choices and develop into responsible young adults, further impacting on the wider community. They offer a variety of programs, including sports, drama, music, media, and healthy cooking as a core part of the work they do. Based in Palarsville, the group also works in Lambert, Kingston, Kensington and Chelsea, Hackney, among several other boroughs, and has international projects in Gambia, Sierra Leone, and Jamaica. I am delighted that representatives from both charities have joined us here tonight, and there will be an opportunity to speak to them at the reception after this meeting, if you would like to know more. I must always say a big thank you to my dad, 94 years old. And every time I have a little issue, I can always pick the phone up and ring him, and he'll always at the end of the phone giving me advice. So Dad, wherever you are, I'm sorry you're not here with us tonight, but I love you. Dad, who is possible watching by live stream, my children and my grandchildren, my brothers and sisters, and the rest of my family, I thank you for all your support. In closing, I promise that I will value the huge responsibility I have taken on and work together with my deputy on our concert to represent our wonderful, beautiful, vibrant borough of Merton and those who live and work here. Thank you. Would Councillor Michael Brandt please join us on the dais? I would like to call on Councillor Elena Stringer to move the vote of thanks.
Madam Mayor, welcome. Firstly, it is wonderful to address you by that title. But Madam Mayor, I'm delighted to have the privilege to give a vote of thanks for my friend Councillor Mike Brunt. So I request the Council resolve to place on record its sincere thanks and appreciation to Councillor Michael Brunt for the dedicated manner in which he served as the Mayor of the London Borough of Merton for the year 2021 to 2022. Councillor Brunt was elected to the Council in 1990 and has served as a councillor for 18 of the last 32 years. He was elected Mayor at a virtual meeting in April 2021, taking over duties from Lower Northern Councillor Sally Kenny. He started his official duties on the 9th of May. Councillor Brunt most recently represented Fixed Marsh Ward and is a former leader of Merton Council and a former cabinet member of the environment. Two of his grandparents were born in the borough in the 1890s, and his parents have lived all their lives in the borough. Councillor Brunt was also born in Merton and grew up there. Councillor Brunt developed a passion for healthcare during 6 years spent working for the Donald Woods Foundation and for HIV charities in South Africa. As he helped lead Merton out of the COVID-19 pandemic, his theme for the year was focused on health, care and well-being. Councillor Brunt selected Christian Care Association as the first of his 2 nominated charities. The association provides emotional support and practical help for people who have no recourse to public funds. Madam Mayor, his second charity was Marie Curie, the UK's leading end-of-life charity. Marie Curie provides frontline nursing and hospice care, as well as a free support line to those coping with terminal illnesses. Councillor Brunt has helped raise more than £58,000 for his chosen charities. £58,000. The fundraising highlights during the year included a sleep out for 60 people at AFC Wimbledon in November. Couldn't organise that in the summer, it had to be in November, didn't it? And the event was organised by Dunn's Local Action Group and raised £44,000 for 3 local charities. He also organised a charity cricket match for the Mayor's 11 against a team from Mitcham Cricket Club, which was played on reportedly the oldest pitch in the country. For some reason, the formal vote of thanks neglects to mention the final score. And as one of the players, I can't for the life of me think why this was omitted in formal thanks. Councillor Brunt then hosted teas and tours at the Old England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club, the venue for the first Mayor's Ball since 2019, as well as at Towling. Councillor Brunt presented the Freedom of the Borough to Dickie Guy at AFC Wimbledon's grounds. As a season ticket holder, Councillor Brunt was privileged to watch the side play their first full season back in the borough, and he was also delighted to welcome the London Broncos to Merton. Councillor Brunt hosted an afternoon tea at Tooting and Mitcham Hub in recognition of Silver Sunday, a celebration of older people that also tackles issues of social isolation. Madam Mayor, aside from his charity work, Councillor Brunt led tributes to the fallen servicemen, servicewomen on Armistice Day and Remembrance Sunday, and he led citizenship ceremonies throughout the year as part of his civic duties. With a focus on promoting community spirit as Merton recovered from the pandemic, Councillor Brunt championed testing and vaccination, and he visited more than half the schools in the borough to highlight how Merton could become a more positive example for more local boroughs. Councillor Brunt's joint chaplains are Reverend Belamo Alagoa and Reverend Alison Judge from the Merton Priory team. And the Mayor has been supported throughout by his consort, his mother, Joan Brunt, and by the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Edith McCauley, MBE. Madam Mayor, Councillor Brunt's mayoralty will be remembered by the way in which he prioritised health and well-being and engaged with young people in Merton schools. Merton runs through Councillor Brunt to his core, and he's extremely passionate about safeguarding the borough's future. Through his charity work and his civic duties, he encapsulated the borough's strong collective spirit, and has been especially impressed by the way the communities have come together over the year as Merton recovers from the pandemic. I formally move this motion of thanks to Councillor Michael Brunt.
I would like to call upon Councillor Anthony Faircroft to move the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm very pleased to be seconding this motion of thanks to Councillor Brunt and Councillor McCauley. But first, Madam Mayor, I'd like to welcome and congratulate you on your own results. I don't think I've ever heard you speak in the Chamber or a committee or indeed in person when you haven't mentioned the award in Park Hill. With such warmth, such pride, and I think it's a lesson to us all these kinds of representation, so thank you very much. So, Brunt and Councillor Macaulay. I think that's a fantastic result for your charities and your scheme of help. It's one that should be close to so many of us, especially given the events in the world recently. You spoke so movingly of your time in South Africa, your thank you event. And I think what came through to me about that was the sense of family and community that you drew from that and that had gone on into your life. And I think we brought some of that into your mayoralty as well. I particularly wanted to highlight Marie Curie. It's important to me, as for many years my wife was involved in a local fundraising group. I know that one of the things you want to do is to get that local fundraising group up and going again. I mentioned it to my wife, she felt rather busy. We'll see. I also wanted to highlight very briefly a role that we don't talk about for the mayor, which is the role in chairing our meetings and keeping us in order. You haven't, as I know you've remarked several times, had to stand up and sit down. I don't think you can do it anymore, but Councillor Henley might do if she wants to shut me up. We were working through times that weren't easy and weren't easy to manage or get our heads around. But Councillor Brunt managed that whilst keeping his calm and his skill intact. For that, I'm very grateful. I'd like to thank you for your service and Councillor Macaulay as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And may I begin also once again, congratulating on your appointment and indeed the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Kajina. Madam Mayor, I know that my colleague, Councillor Howard, will also be speaking, so I shall be brief, but I'd like to congratulate Councillor Brunt on a successful year as Mayor, and I also may congratulate Councillor Macaulay for her strong contribution as Deputy Mayor. The first Mayor's Ball back after the pandemic was a great event. It was especially gratifying to see so many councillors after the disruption of the pandemic. Councillor Brunt and Councillor Macaulay, by your support for the Christian Care Association and Marie Curie, your year as Mayor and Deputy Mayor has raised much needed money for some truly vital causes. The Conservative Group thanks you both. I would also like to pay tribute to the other mayors from the previous municipal term, which was so tragically disrupted by COVID. Former councillors Mary Curtin and Janice Howard and Councillor Sally Kenny gave sterling service to Merton through tough times. We thank them all for their service to the borough. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and congratulations to you and your Deputy Mayor as well. On behalf of the Merton Park Independent residents, I'm pleased to contribute to the vote of thanks to the retiring Mayor, Councillor Mike Brunt. I've often found it interesting how much more you discover about someone in their year of office than you knew before. I've been on the Children and Young People's Scrutiny panel with Mike and chatted with him at various big functions and events. I knew he had been a teacher. I did not know about his time at British Airways, nor how when he left BA, he took some time out to work in an orphanage in South Africa. Having helped organise a charity cricket match when I was Deputy Mayor, I was pleased to be asked again last year. Having come second to Mitcham Cricket Club the first time around, I had prepared myself for a similar outcome. It was not to be. We had some different councillors playing this time, and a couple of external players as well. Mike went into bat early, maintaining he had not played for many years. However, he put on a very good performance and even managed to score a 4. A memorable accomplishment, especially as Mitcham is the oldest cricket club in the country. I'm also pleased to say we came first that day. And I just looked up the score. We were chasing 160 runs over 20 overs, and at the end of the 19th, we managed to get 162. So there we are, first. I would like to pay tribute too to the Mayor's support for charity during this year in office. His 2 charities were Christian Care Association in Merton and Marie Curie, a charity which supports people at the end of their lives and their families. Mike had personal experience of the support of Marie Curie with his late father and how much they had helped in those final days and nights. Having gone through a similar situation with my wife last year, I was not so fortunate, as Marie Curie did not have anyone at the time to help. and by the time they did have somebody, sadly it was too late. I know he is very keen to support and help start a local Mary Curie support team and fundraise in Merton. And if any other councillors are interested, then please do get in contact with him and let's see what can be done to make this happen. Throughout, he has been supported by his mother Joan, often at his side and in her role as mayoress. She deserves our thanks too. It was great to see them both together at Buckingham Palace recently. Mike has attended over 70 citizenship ceremonies at Morden Park House and welcomed over 700 new British citizens to the borough. He has visited 31 schools in Merton, including his own former schools, Holy Trinity Primary School and Garth High School, Morden, which is now the Harris Academy. Another special visit was his mother's school, Wimbledon Park Primary School, which, when she first entered that school, it was the day of World War II. She visited the school again this year on the day that Russia invaded Ukraine. Before I finish, I would like to give a special thanks to his Deputy Mayor, Councillor Edith Macaulay. Not only did Edith support Mike at virtually every event throughout the year, but she also raised nearly £3,000 for the Mayor's charities with her sponsored swim. Thank you, Edith.
Councillor Howard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and as like others, welcome to your new post. Congratulations on your accession. Looking forward to your year. And I must say, it's nice to find myself at your elevated level in the chamber, a level from which we may both look down upon those currently seated between us. Now, I'm going to sing your praises in 12 months' time, I have no doubt, but so forgive me if I here focus on your immediate predecessor, Councillor Michael Brunt. I know that my wife, the past Mayor, Janice Howard, would have wanted to deliver her thanks personally, but as you know, she's been promoted to the public gallery, whence she can now hold us all to account, starting no doubt with me. The Queen, God bless her, is represented by the mace before us, but it is our residents, some behind me, that we owe a more immediate fealty. Councillor Brunt, sounds very formal. Councillor Brunt, together with Janice, I had the immense pleasure of supporting a good number of your civic events, and I know that Janice took great pride in being able to contribute in any way to the organisational effort that you and your team put into them. We know that Merton Council offers fantastic support to the office of Mayor, support that many others cannot provide. Councillor Brunt, the driving force was your own energy and enthusiasm. The fundraising for your chosen charities, Christian Care and Marie Curie, gave us many opportunities to support you. The Mayor's 11 cricket match in Mitcham, where your team was victorious, was a great start to the year, due of course significantly to one innings, your own. This was followed by a dinner at a taste restaurant. Then there's a bit of a food and drink thing here. The Mediterranean meal on Aya, and of course topped off by the ball at the All England Club. A peculiar interest at this point is that Janice and I did do quite well at some of the raffles. Councillor Brunt, you visited all the schools in Merton and gave so many children an insight into the role of the civic mayor and the London Borough of Merton. And amongst those children, I am sure there will be future councillors now in the making. Now, I'm sure that your mayoral year will be so well remembered for all you have done for the community of Merton, and it is heartening to know that you remain among us, in spite of being, shall we say, switched onto fresh ground. Abbey Ward is lucky to have you. You're a good councillor, and above all, a genuinely good man. Thank you.
Does any other member wish to speak? Is the vote of thanks agreed? Agreed. Councillor Michael Brunt, would you like to respond?
Madam Mayor, Deputy Lieutenants, fellow councillors, ladies and gentlemen in the public gallery, Thank you for all the kind words that have been said about me so far. I'm not sure that I recognise myself completely, but it's nice to know that some people think that highly of you, so I really appreciate that. And it's come from across the chamber, which really means a lot to me. The last year has been amazing. It's been a huge privilege to be Mayor of the London Borough of Merton. Although I predate Merton by 10 years, I owe everything to Merton and its former borough of Wimbledon, where I grew up to start with. I was born and educated in the borough. It's where I'm from and it's what shaped me. I used to play in the parks, go to the cinemas. I even remember places like the Rialto, the Fleet Pit as it was called, in Rains Park, and some of the cinemas in Wimbledon. I'm not sure when some of the names of parks changed, but I remember Trinity Gardens being Trinity Gardens, not South Park Gardens. I remember Quick Road Rec being Quick Road Rec and not South Park, and now not Hayden Road Rec, but times change and names change. Tonight is my last chance to have a captive audience with no time limit. I remember when I was first elected to the council, the lights you'll get used to over here, it's green for 4 minutes, then it goes to amber after, for the fourth, going up to 5 minutes, it goes red at 5. I used to admire the people who could be speaking at 5 minutes. I soon came to realise the ones to admire were the ones that finished before the amber light came. But you've got me now, so I'm going to carry on. It's time to say thank you and to mention some highlights. Thank you to those who were councillors last year for putting your trust in me. And thank you to all of those who supported me throughout the year, either directly or indirectly. Thank you to those who attended fundraising events or donated prizes or cash, sponsored the Mayor's Deputy Mayor's Swim, which has been mentioned, and raised £3,000 for my Movember fundraising, and for the Big Sleep Out, which did raise money for the Don's Local Action Group and for Faith in Action, as well as Tooting Community Kitchen. Thank you for all of those who have been moral support to me or encouragement. As I said at the thank you event on Saturday that I held, there's always a risk of leaving someone out when you start naming people, but again, I'll take that risk and apologise in advance if I inadvertently leave you out. I'll start with thanking my mum for agreeing to be Mayoress, and at 93 years old, I think she's done remarkably well. Thank you, Mum. Thank you to Terry, who can't be here, for encouraging me and always giving me sound advice and ensuring that I keep my feet on the ground, despite what can happen to mayors. To Edith, for agreeing to be my deputy. Edith, you've been a constant support throughout the year and supported every event, I think every fundraising event, as well as that £3,000 for the sponsored swim. I don't think I could have done it without your support, so thank you very much for that. You've been so dedicated and been good at giving me quiet advice in the background or putting me right where I've gone wrong. So thank you. I know Carvel can't be here, but I know he's been a support to you, even though he's not been able to attend many things because he's in his first year at university, and university students have other things to do. Thank you to Alison and Bellamo for being my joint chaplains this year. It's been really good to, although some of the events you've been to have not been ones that I've been at, but thank you for being part of this whole journey with me. Thank you to the Deputy Lieutenant for your support and your wisdom during the year. And I know that it's been a learning time for both of us in these roles, so I've appreciated that and I look forward to a lasting friendship, I hope. Thank you to the Mayor's Office, to Sandra, Carl, Steve, Mick, and of course Sharon. Sandra has been a wise advisor and an incredible support during the year. And I learnt early on, as you'll learn Madam Mayor, that you lose your name for the year. And I did say to Sandra early in the year, in the first week I think, when it's just us, please call me Mike or Michael. And she said, yes, Mr. Mayor. And that's the way it remained. So you don't have a name for the year. Carl, Steve and Mick, as I mentioned before, for your patience with my backseat driving. Sometimes we get to a junction and say, shouldn't we go that way? But no. They always do best and I sat back and enjoyed it, so that was good. To Sharon for keeping the Mayor's Parlour so spick and span, and for your invariable, shining and smiling personality. For the rest of the staff team who've helped so much behind the scenes at any events, and that's Diane, Amy, Andrew, and others who helped as well. I can't put the names of everyone here. To Jane and your team at Christian Care Association, thank you. You do incredible work for those in need in Merton, and the effects are lasting. And I've been involved before with Christian Care, and I will continue that involvement. To Sharifa and all those who have been involved from Mary Carey, so that's William, Louisa, and Angela, who have been part of the team as well. Through the support that we had as a family, and Ed mentioned this, I got to know what you do and how valuable that is, and I'd like to spread that and make that more available in the borough, so I will work with you to do that. Thank you to the All England Tennis Club for your hospitality and for generosity, because they always make a strong contribution to the Mayor's charities, but particularly to Ian Hewitt, the chair, for making Mum so welcome and feel special in the Royal Box. That was a really special day. If you ask Mum afterwards, she will say that that's the highlight of her year. The first highlight, she had 2 highlights, but that's one of them. To Nick Parr and the team at Wimbledon Theatre for your support, particularly during the pantomime, where Shane Ritchie, who's my other new best friend, who kept announcing at the end of every performance, 50 performances, that they could contribute to the Mayor's charity, and the staff there collected in buckets around the entrances, and £11,500 was raised there. Phenomenal. To the team at the registry office, who've been encouraging and made me feel so welcome all the time. As we mentioned, over 700 certificates given out and 70 ceremonies, and that's been a great privilege to do that. To all those involved in the rollout of the vaccine in Merton, to Mohammed, who's the pharmacist, and to Jackie, who coordinates the testing teams. I've been able to visit and have vaccines publicly several times. I went to thank them this afternoon, and Mohammed said, well, do you want your second booster now while you're here? Which is why I'm proudly wearing this, and I have the second booster, so I'm covered to next year now. No rules broken, apparently it's available even if you're under 75, but they don't want everyone rushing. So if I get a bit red or I'm sore later on, forgive me for that, but at the moment no side effects. To the Chief Executive, to Hannah Doody, and also to Louise Round for your advice and support, particularly during the hybrid meetings and helping me to get through those. Fellow councillors, for never making me have to stand up. So I appreciate that. You've always conducted the meetings with a bit of chastising in good humour. So I do thank you for that. Merton Morgan Guild, I'm getting to the end of the thank you, so I'm nearly there. To Merton Morgan Guild, to Andy, Anne and Hamish for being constant support, inviting me to many things, but working behind the scenes of things like the Silver Sunday and the cricket match. To Janice, Sally, Una, Ed, Linda, as former mayors and members of the committee on the fundraising, you've been invaluable. You've given me steadfast support and advised me on the role of mayor, and it's been great to know that there are people who've gone before me who can advise. I do hope I haven't left anyone out. So thank you to those that I've mentioned and to all former mayors who are still councillors on the council, because I know that you have that experience. I'll briefly mention some highlights of the year. And I've already mentioned the tennis, so I won't go into that. Ed kindly has mentioned the schools, but that was very special. And particularly last week when I visited Abbotsbury, I think that's one of the highlights. And the 3-year-old girl in the nursery came up to me, because I always go into the I used to go into the schools in rows. Madam Mayor, you can do that in the future. But this 3-year-old came up to me and said, where's your dressing up box? and I said, I haven't got it with me. And she took me by the hand and then took me to the dressing up corner in the nursery at Abbotsbury. And that was a precious moment. And I realised that just how confident our young people are in this borough. And we have a fantastic education system. And I think we should all, and I'd encourage all councillors in their wards to get to know the schools, particularly the primary schools, be in there and get to know them. But Silver Sunday was a highlight, and that's already been mentioned as well. The Rising Stars football team in Pollard's Hill was a fantastic event, and one of the first public events I went to coming out of COVID. And that is a team that's been brought together by the PCSO and Moat Housing in that area. These are young men who would have not necessarily been doing good things, but they were brought on track and they support each other, and they're going on to support each other and making lives in football, but also in other areas as well. AFC Wimbledon, a big highlight was standing in the centre circle, giving Dickie Guy his freedom of the borough, and also having him here at the council chamber and being able to demonstrate that I really have been a supporter since 1977 by giving him the first programme I ever bought, which he was on, and that was in January 1977, Wimbledon versus Middlesbrough in the FA Cup. Tooting and Mitcham academies for teenagers, those not in education, employment or training. Steve Atkins' work there is incredible. These are, again, young people who would not necessarily achieve because they're not in school or education or training for all sorts of reasons. But I met some youngsters who are going on to apprenticeships and and going on to universities to do degrees now. Phenomenal work. 80 youngsters. That's so much work going on there. The work of various groups that are working in this borough to improve the life chances of our young minority ethnic people. Putra was one that I was online with, but there are other organisations that do incredible work to boost the education and boost the self-esteem of young people. To voluntary sector organisations such as BAME, but also those that are promoting inclusion for older people. The Togetherness Centre on Taylor Road, I wish them every success from their launch this last year, and I was proud to be there for that. The celebration of music with Merton Music Foundation for the Christmas concert was amazing. And then following on from that, 1001 Nights, which was performed at King's College School, but it included children from Bond Primary, the Sade, Melrose, Cricket Green, and most of the borough's secondary schools. I don't think there was a dry eye in the house when the boy from Passade sang Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. It was phenomenal. The Mayor's Ball, of course, was a big highlight, a big coming together and a celebration of the end of COVID, I hope. The garden party was just touched on as well, but I think that's Mum's second highlight of the year. And we discovered the advantage of having a wheelchair, because the wheelchair users were lined up in a line next to the palace, and the royal party shook hands with all of them. So Mum did meet the future king and also Princess Anne, who was one of her heroes. I'll stop there because I won't take up the whole evening. I could take up the whole evening. But I'll say in conclusion that being mayor has been a humbling experience. I felt that I've learnt a lot during the year, and I'll be ever thankful for that. I've learnt a lot about myself as well. Merton is a wonderful, vibrant, diverse borough that is full of talent, hope and respect. I hope that all 57 of us live up to the expectations of our residents. We are here to serve. And there's just one small anecdote I'd give, because I was fortunate to be the leader from 97 to 99. And in the 98 elections at the count, I had a Liberal Democrat with a rosette come up to me at the count and said, "You won't remember me, but I've just voted for you. I voted too Liberal and you." And I said, "Okay." He said, "But you may not remember me because I was 9 years old. I came to see you in your first surgery." He didn't know it was my first surgery, but it was my first surgery in Dundonald Ward in 1990 because there was broken glass on the tennis court. I reported that to the director. That was cleared. And he remembered that one incident. And I think we should all hold that. We're here partly because of our party, but also we're here because of the respect we show our residents and the dedication we show them. A number of children in schools have asked what it's like to be mayor and whether I'll miss it when it ends. My answer has always been that it's such a special experience that it needs to be shared. I often say to them, have said to them, that it's a bit like being Doctor Who. The robes are the TARDIS, but the person wearing it changes each year. And I'll finish off by saying there's an expression that I learned in my time in South Africa, which was, things happen when the time is full. And I think the time is full. So thank you.
The Mayor will now present Councillor Michael Brunt with a framed copy of the citation. You may remain seated. And that concludes the ceremonial part of the meeting. The council will now proceed with its formal business.
Thank you. Election of the leader of the council. I call for nominations for the election of the leader of the council. And this is moved by Councillor Skinner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And yes, I have the honour of proposing Councillor Ross Garrett as the next leader of Merton Council. Merton is a brilliant borough and it deserves brilliant leaders. And we are lucky that since Labour took control of the council back in 2010, we've had three people committed to the borough. Councillor Stephen Ambritas and Mark Allison worked hard to steer the borough through difficult times, battling austerity and pandemics. It is wonderful that Councillor Garrett has returned to the council, bringing a mix of his experience from his previous roles here, but also fresh insight from his roles elsewhere, including most recently working across London on infrastructure projects. Madam Mayor, it's unsurprising that Ross has chosen to return to political leadership here, given his absolute commitment to the borough. He grew up and still lives in Mitcham and went to school in Wimbledon. He's now representing Lord Dawnton Ward, but is active across the whole borough. Councillor Garrett wants to nurture a sense of civic pride. He himself feels a huge pride in our borough, and under his leadership we will ensure that everyone who lives here shares this. He is not afraid of tackling the tricky issues that are within our control, to make sure that we are delivering the services that all our residents need. But he will also lead on ensuring we work closely in partnership with all the organisations who can help to develop our pride in our borough. Councillor Garrett knows what our residents want, including cleaner streets, more affordable housing, and local high streets that are thriving and safe. Madam Mayor, one thing that Ross is particularly passionate about is volunteering, because he himself is active in his local community and gets a lot of joy from this. Volunteering over the pandemic, vaccinating residents at the AFC Wimbledon Stadium, coming out weekly on early Sunday mornings at the new Fixed Marsh Junior Park Run. One of his ambitions is to recognise and support the huge number of Merton residents who already volunteer in their community and make it easier for more people to get involved by supporting our many brilliant charities and community organisations. He's also passionate about how proud we should be of our sporting heritage here and how we should ensure that all residents across the borough have opportunities to benefit from our brilliant sporting institutions. Madam Mayor, Councillor Garrett is the right person to fight for what Merton needs. He has the experience of campaigning effectively, and the next few years are going to be hard. The government's levelling up agenda seems increasingly to mean levelling away from London. He will battle on behalf of Merton residents, be that arguing for the continuation of all services in the Helley Hospital, to protect local police services, or to make sure that the government recognises that London boroughs need investment to address the chronic housing shortages and poverty that do exist here. Madam Mayor, I'm also proud of Councillor Garrett's commitment to listening to our residents and engaging with all of our communities. People's priorities have changed over the pandemic, and this is the right time to focus on developing our sense of pride in our borough and supporting our residents to get actively involved in their communities. So, Madam Mayor, I'm proud to be proposing Councillor Garrett as the next leader of Merton Council, and we should all take pride in what the previous Labour administrations have achieved. And we should be proud of the fact that we're continuing to develop, innovate and be ambitious for our residents. So I look forward to working with Councillor Garrett and achieving great things for our borough. Thank you.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor McCurry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I congratulate you as being the first citizen of the borough and also the Deputy Mayor of Councillor Agatha Akitini. Deputy Lieutenants, Madam Mayor, councillors, officers, and distinguished guests. It gives me great pleasure to be able to say a few words in support of our leader-elect, Ross Garrett. Ross was first elected in 2014 to serve as the Councillor for Lavender Affairs, and he was my ward colleague for 4 years, together with Councillor Mark Allison. We worked together as a great team to meet the needs and requirements of the residents in the ward. His family moved to Mitcham when he was a few months old, and he has grown up in the borough, attending Benedict Primary School, Priory Middle School, and Rutledge High School. His father was a police officer, and his mother worked in the borough for looked after children. Ross has 2 sisters and a brother. Sadly, his mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's 6 years ago, and he recently participated in a fundraising event with his siblings for Alzheimer's UK, raising a substantial amount for the charity. During the pandemic, he was a volunteer vaccinator with St. John Ambulance and supported their efforts at AFC Wimbledon Stadium. Ross has encouraged and exemplified the virtue of good public representative as a councillor and a cabinet member. He has touched and enriched the lives of others, particularly those who are vulnerable or less able to help themselves. He has shown ongoing initiative, leadership, and dedication in his ward and in Merton, and as Secretary of the Mitcham and Modern Labour Party for many years, he has become a role model in local government. Public speaking will be second nature to us. Having worked over 6 years for one of the most talented speakers in Parliament, namely the fabulous Siobhan McDonald MP. Also, having worked at the London City Airport, I know his leadership will take off in a positive way. The Elizabeth line was opened yesterday, having been built by Crossrail, and guess who has been working at Crossrail? Yes, it was our leader-elect. Ross delivered it for London, and now about to deliver for Merton. I am very impressed by his maturity and dedication at the tender age of 34 and about to be one of our youngest council leaders. I have never, in 40 years in public life, in the trade union movement, and as the magistrate bench and the local government, encountered a young person so prepared to immediately assume a leadership role when the need arises. Ross loves sports, and he has been an Aston Villa supporter for many years, together with His Royal Highness Prince William. However, I was surprised that he was not at the Etihad Stadium on Super Sunday when Aston Villa were leading 2-0 against Manchester City. City scored 3 goals in 5 minutes. I am sure, together with his presence and that of His Royal Highness, the game would have ended in a draw and Liverpool would have won the Premiership. Colleagues, Ross is ready to lead, and we are ready to welcome his leadership. I second the motion.
Councillor Greco.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wanted to add to my group's congratulations to Councillor Everett's nomination for leader. I also would like to take this opportunity to congratulate all the new and re-elected councillors from all parties. Well done on your success. I hope you're now rested and ready for our public service ahead. And I'll commiserate too with all those who didn't win or didn't get re-elected. As someone who's fought 5 elections, losing 3 times, and then something how that feels. The judgment of the public can feel brutal. But it doesn't take away from what you did, nor what you might yet do. Nonetheless, the view of the electorate is something we should probably consider in democracy, Madam Mayor. So turning to the matter in hand, 4 years ago I made my maiden speech from the back of the chamber where the Conservatives now are. A great seat for the good view, looking down on everyone else. Councillor Howard has stolen my joke. I'm sure some of you would say that's what we did, both literally and figuratively. In that speech, I pointed out that this decision on the leader of the council, one of our very first, is actually the most important decision we make. Looking to the view of the electorate, 2022 is probably the biggest change in Merton politics for a generation. On a night when Labour was doing well across London, they fell back here, with the leader of the council failing to win a seat and a number of Labour councillors down. And Madam Mayor, 22 was the worst Conservative result here, ever. And as they said, a local election in hustings, there are two stories in politics: continuity and change. Now, the public have given us all the greatest fear they possibly could. They want change. And I think they'll judge us all on that. Our reaction must not be continuity. So tonight, I welcome the commitment to change. And I can say that our official opposition will support the administration when it's taking action for cleaner streets, more affordable housing, and real action on the climate emergency and the cost of living crisis. And we'll challenge it too. Scrutiny and accountability improves decisions. But we need a new way of doing things. A genuine desire to work with others. A more open council, a more competent council, and a more caring council. We've seen some new commitments already about the Council of Waste contractor coming through, and so tonight I want to call for a new cross-party approach. I thought about calling it a rubbish summit, but I think a waste summit probably sounds better. Bringing all groups together to consider opportunities and the alternatives. A place where we could brainstorm the issues and bring our collective experiences to the area and work out some ways forward. Now, if we can make that work, it will genuinely be a success for all of us, and for our residents too. And Madam Mayor, it would really show the electorate we could do things differently. It would really be a fresh start. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
If there are no further speakers, Councillor Springer, do you wish to use your right to reply?
Very interesting. I welcome everybody else's endorsements so far. Thank you.
I now call for a vote. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
I declare Councillor Roster to be the duly elected leader of the council. Vote of thanks to the former leader of the council, the former councillors. Councillor Linda Kirby, please move this report.
Thanks. I'd like to propose a vote of thanks to former councillors. I'd like to pay particular tribute to two of our retired councillors who are very close friends of mine, Geraldine Stanford and John Dehaney. Geraldine stood in Figs Marsh Ward in 1990 and held many positions on the council. Chair of Finance, Cabinet Member for Corporate Resources and Cabinet Member for Education and Mayor. She was an excellent ward councillor. The pair of us worked as a team and were involved in setting up, before we became councillors, a North East Midland Community Centre back in 1982. During our period of, her period of being a councillor, we also set up the Callhouse Children's Charity and the North Mitcham Park Friends Group, as well as running every year Gravely and Figs in Bloom competitions. Geraldine is also very interested in history and produced the Lower and Upper Mitcham heritage maps that are accessible on Merton's website. She also organised Merton Mayor's London New Year's Day parades, raising over £54,000 for their causes and making all the costumes. John Dehaney, very close friend, lovely man, he's here in the back. My ward colleague, very sad that he's not around. Always active in the community. We work very well as a team. He joined the council in 2002, was also mayor and deputy mayor on 2 occasions, was a school governor, chaired the Collierswood Forum, sat on planning, standards and overview and scrutiny. It's a privilege to serve as a councillor, and these 2 people invested a huge amount of their time in supporting their local communities and promoting Merton Council, and they deserve our gratitude. As do the many councillors who have also either retired or not been successful in the election. Representing people on the council is an important democratic service. We live in a cynical age, but there is nothing cynical about the commitment these long-standing councillors have given to Merton. Whatever political party we come from, we commit ourselves, in the name of democracy, to improve the quality of lives of our residents. So, a very warm thank you to everyone leaving the council.
I understand this is seconded by Councillor Kate.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I start by congratulating you on your election as Mayor and your Deputy, Agatha. You are both good friends, and I wish you well in your year. Madam Mayor, I followed Linda Kirby, who is the mother of the house, and I speak as the father of the house. We were elected for the first time back in 1986. Hard to believe, I know, and I'm really grateful, and I'm fortunate to have Linda as my councillor. The reorganisation of boundaries has actually given me Linda as a councillor, and she has replaced Geraldine, who's been a fantastic councillor. So I feel very fortunate to have had that. Madam Mayor, I think there's something missing from the proceedings this evening, and that is we should welcome the new councillors on all sides of the chambers, and as the father of the house, I'd like to welcome each and every one of the new councillors, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I have. I'll tell you a funny story. When I explained to my daughter that I was the new father of the house, she said, and this tells you something about what daughters think dads are for, does that mean you have to give all the councillors a lift or wherever they want to go? I would like to thank each one of the people that have served this borough so well, and in 4 minutes you don't have the opportunity to do it properly. Because what we're talking about here is councillors who've served this borough for a total of 386 years. That is extraordinary. And the motion says that the council places on record its sincere appreciation for the valuable service rendered to the borough by the former councillors listed in Appendix A, and extends to them its grateful thanks for their activities on behalf of the borough. Having been here so long, I know that it can be difficult, but it's also extremely rewarding, and I think we should thank them, thank those that have stepped down, and also commiserate with those who have been unsuccessful, because that's not easy. And I have paid tributes to a number of those councillors stepping down. David Williams, I paid tribute to at the Standards and General Purposes Committee for his extraordinary commitment. Geraldine, I've mentioned, Nick Draper, Russell Makin, Mark Allison, David Chung, Una Moulton, David Simpson, Peter Southgate, John Dehaney, and Janice Howard. Some of these are not members of my party, but I think what I have learned is to learn to respect such people and to treat them properly and with respect, and I hope that that's a lesson that we can all learn. I really do think that we should, all of us, recognise the contribution that they've made to this wonderful borough, and I'm happy to second this motion.
Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for this opportunity for a vote of thanks to councillors who are either retired or unsuccessful in being re-elected. Madam Mayor, with their 16 plus years of service, former councillors Dean, Holmes, Moulton, Simpson and Williams will become honorary aldermen of this council, and if I may, I will speak further to the special council meeting in July. While I wish to thank all former councillors for their contribution, it will come as no surprise that I will focus and pay special tribute to Conservative councillors, all of whom greatly respected the privilege it was to represent the residents of their respective wards with a dedication to public service they could all be very proud of. Nigel Bembo, whose determination and energy both to residents of Abbey and to this council was humbling to witness. Stephen Crow, who served Grades Park well and brought balance and thoughtfulness to debates, which I know was appreciated by all parties, especially in his chairing of the Financial Monitoring Task Group. Hayley Ormrod, who along with Omar Bush and James Home formed a formidable shadow CYP team, putting immense political pressure on the last administration, including ensuring they did the right thing in repurposing the Lavender Nursery, thereby providing much needed specialist care for the most vulnerable children in the borough. The right decision that in the end contributed to Mark Allison losing both his seat and the leadership of the council. While Mark and I did not agree politically, I know he was extremely proud to have been the leader of Merton Council. Adam Bush, who used his expertise to make strong contributions to the Audit and Pensions Committee, and along with former Councillor Pritchard, restructured the council pension plan in a reasonable and realistic way. Najib Latif, who was a valuable part of the planning committee and worked tirelessly with the Wimbledon Village business community. Ed Gretton, who along with ward colleagues sourced funding for the rejuvenation of Hayden's Road, Garth Road Pocket Park, a tireless advocate for better and improved Wimbledon Park. And Janice Howard, who represented Wimbledon Park for 12 years and whose organising skills, fundraising capabilities and dedication as Merton's first citizen delivered a hugely successful mayoralty. The only regret that due to COVID she was unable to hold a mayoral ball. Madam Mayor, I wish to offer my personal thanks to them for their grateful support to me as leader of the Conservative group. It goes without saying that it has been a difficult few weeks coming to the terms with so many dedicated colleagues and indeed friends not being returned. We fought a relentlessly local campaign focused on local issues, a platform to clean our streets, target crime, rejuvenate town centres, stand up for motorists, reform planning, support young people and provide real value for money. We have far from given up on these aims but found the national political headwinds were just too strong. Others clearly had better nights. Residents still believe it's time for change in Merton. There is an opportunity for us all to show, regardless of who sits where in this council chamber, things can and will be better for them. Thank you.
We have no further speakers. Councillor Kirby, do you wish to use your right of reply? Is that agreed? We are now on to item 7, approval of the minutes of the meeting held on the 2nd March 2022. Are the minutes of the last council meeting agreed as correct records? Item 18, we will now view the constitution of committees and other bodies report, including the tabs appendix to the report. I call upon the leader of the council to present this report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and congratulations to you on becoming the first citizen of Merton. You will make us all proud, just as you and all of us are so proud to be residents of this great borough. I've been a proud resident of Merton my whole life, and becoming leader of the council is an unbelievable honour. Nurturing a sense of civic pride is central to everything this administration will do as we deliver on the priorities which matter most to our residents. I want everyone to feel proud to live in Merton. By investing in our people and our public realm, we can start to build that sense of pride. I want to pay tribute to my predecessor, Mark Allison. With an incredible service of 20 years, including 10 years as Cabinet Member for Finance, achieving financial stability for the Council and for Merton during years of vicious funding cuts dished out by national government. And more recently, as leader, Mark showed leadership by steering the Council through the pandemic. Good leadership is vital in these challenging times, which is why I'm delighted to have on the Cabinet two former council leaders, Councillor Judge and Councillor Alan Brittis. Councillor Judge will be leading on housing and sustainable development, building more genuinely affordable houses in the borough with a focus on the environment. Councillor Alan Brittis brings his exceptional 10-year leadership record of relationship building and negotiation to the transport brief. They join Councillor Irons as Cabinet Member for Local Environment, Green Spaces and Climate, who will be championing clean streets and parks, effectively managing our contracts to strengthen pride in our local environment. Councillor Christie will be covering finance, ensuring every penny best supports our local communities and keeps our council tax low. Councillor Cooper Marbia is Cabinet Member for Sport and Heritage, promoting active lifestyles and developing partnerships with sporting organisations in this, our great sporting borough. Councillor Fraser takes on the portfolio for Children's Services, leading on early years and childcare. Councillor Kenny is Cabinet Member for Education and Lifelong Learning, making sure that as well as great schools, Merton provides training and learning opportunities for everyone. They both will build on the outstanding work of Councillor Stringer and what she achieved in Children's Services. We need to tackle head-on the inequalities in healthcare across the borough, and Councillor McCabe will take on the role of health and social care with this at the top of his agenda, as well as continuing to fight to retain all services at St Helier Hospital. And I'm delighted that Councillor Stringer not only continues as Deputy Leader of the Council, but also takes on the crucial role of Cabinet Member for Civic Pride. She will lead on efforts to build pride in our borough through partnership work with the voluntary sector, keeping streets safe and greater community engagement in decision making. This is a Cabinet with ideas, passion and experience, and we are excited to start getting things done. Residents chose this party to continue to run their council. Across the panels and committees in this report, we show the diversity, breadth and variety of experience that we have welcomed to our ranks following the election. It is only Labour in local government that will deliver for residents on the priorities that matter to them. Let's get to work. I recommend and commend this report.
We have a seconder, Councillor Christie.
I formally second Madam Mayor, and I will reserve my right to speak depending on how the debate goes.
Is there an amendment? Councillor Kohler, please move the amendment.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll begin by congratulating you and your deputy. Take this opportunity to give you an apology, two in fact. Firstly, I'm sorry I'm not attending your reception this evening, so I'll be rushing off straight up this meeting to see my childhood idol, Alice Cooper, who's due on stage at the O2 at 9 p.m. We're rushing, oh goodness, look at the time. The oldest amongst you might recall one of his singles was simply entitled Elected. I'll say no more, Councillor McLean. My second apology is specifically to the Deputy Mayor. On Sunday night at Mike's valedictory event, Agatha, you turned to me and said, "Paul, please don't speak on Wednesday." A sentiment which I'm sure is shared by many in this chamber. You continued, "Wednesday's all about the Mayor." That's true, of course, but as Anthony has already said, it's also about electing a council leader, not to mention others, including the chairs of scrutiny. And scrutiny is important. We saw that in Croydon recently, where a recent review has established many of their problems down to a failure to establish an independent scrutiny process. Currently, Merton, Labour appoint the chairs of the 3 scrutiny panels, whilst the Labour hierarchy appoint the leader of the Merton Borough Independents to head the Scrutiny Commission. Can anyone honestly describe that as an independent process? It does not have to be like this. Labour-controlled Newcastle City Council have always allowed the opposition to appoint all the chairs of scrutiny, in the belief but more independent scrutiny makes for stronger local government. That is, of course, the model on the London Assembly, as Councillor Bakari will detail soon. Now, appointing all of us as the chairs of scrutiny might be an improvement, although personally I fear it risks replacing the tyranny of one front bench with the tyranny of another. That's why we're attracted by the approach suggested by Labour MP Clive Betts in his select committee suggestion to consider appointing chairs of scrutiny by a secret ballot of non-executive councillors. But it's of course a radical suggestion, in line with the approach taken to hugely good effect by parliamentary select committees, but not yet tried by any local authority. Although the Conservative government stated in their response to this recommendation it is perfectly possible to do so under the current legislation. However, we should not rush into such things, thus tonight all we are proposing is a working party consider bringing in this reform for next year's annual meeting. Before you vote on this proposal, I'd like to address 4 separate constituencies in this room. To the party politicians on this side of the aisle, both Lib Dem and Tory, scrutiny is of course political, but it need not be party political. This amendment is designed to transcend party politics. To Motherbuck Independents, in particular Councillor Foley, I do not doubt you would still be chosen if there was a secret ballot of the non-executive councillors. But think how much more powerful your voice, freed from the suggestion you are ultimately beholden to the leader who appointed you. To the Labour backbenchers, think how much more respect the community will have for your scrutiny function, if you were free to vote for the chair you wanted. And finally, to Ross, Councillor Garrett and your cabinet, think how much more powerful your leadership and your decisions would be if forged on the anvil of independent scrutiny. Please support our motion, our amendment. Thank you.
The amendment is being seconded by Councillor Bakari.
I'll reserve my right to speak, thank you.
Councillor Christie.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, can I offer my congratulations to you on your new position in this first full council meeting of your mayoral year. Representing the people of Merton as the mayor, as you know, is a great honour, and I know you will do a fantastic job on behalf of the whole borough. I hope you and your family and friends will be able to enjoy the celebrations this evening, but I am sorry that there are those on the opposite side of this chamber who have chosen to make political points this evening at what is traditionally a very nice non-political occasion. Madam Mayor, I'm happy to second this report formalising the distribution of seats on the various committees amongst the political parties. This year, as in every year, we're continuing the usual practice of allocating seats on a proportional basis and ensuring that chairs and vice chairs are from different political parties. It's proportional, it's cross-party, and it's effective. This is not the approach, however, taken in every borough. It may be worth noting that neighbouring Sutton Council, led by the Liberal Democrats, takes a different approach. At their recent annual council meeting, the Sutton Liberal Democrats decided to keep all scrutiny chairs and vice chair positions in their own hands. Hardly what you would call an independent scrutiny process. I have to say, therefore, I am surprised at the Liberal Democrat amendment that's been brought tonight. As Councillor Kohler will remember, he and I were part of the last working group that pored over the Constitution and the processes and rules of this council. We looked specifically on this very aspect of the distribution of seats and committee chairs. He knows very well that the council's constitution allocates the chairs of committees to the majority group and the vice chairs of committees to opposition groups. And as I told him, during those lengthy meetings, scrutiny chairs are elected by non-executive councillors, by non-executive Labour councillors. So perhaps, Madam Mayor, if Councillor Kohler and Councillor Bakari were a little more focused on this council's constitution and traditions, and a little less obsessed with procedures at Westminster or City Hall, they wouldn't have brought their unnecessary amendment. They would do well to focus on their roles here rather than their political aspirations elsewhere. So, Madam Mayor, I'm sorry that your evening of celebration has been hijacked for political reasons, but I do hope that we can move swiftly on and get back to celebrating your new position. We will be voting against this amendment and getting on with the business of the Council as we're all elected to do. Thank you.
There's no further speaker. Is there any further speaker? If not, Councillor McCarthy, yes, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. It's great to be back. It really is. I'm very excited to be here, especially because there are so many familiar faces on both sides, but also many, many more new faces on both sides as well. So it's brilliant to be here, and I am really, really happy to be speaking on this particular amendment. Despite some of the words that were said, this isn't actually about party politics. This is actually the opposite of being party political. We're living in really strange times, and let's not ignore that. We're living in times where politicians are able to get away with anything, and you know that. And this is why we need to make sure that we're trying to promote true fairness. As political representatives of Merton, we need to be making sure that we are showing an example of how to make sure that politics is fair and just. And that is what we're trying to do here. And we were elected here to make those changes. And this is our opportunity to make those changes. Now, and I'm glad you mentioned things like national politics. Of course, that's important because that's one of the reasons that all of us get involved with politics. There's always different reasons. But nationally, there's been interesting conversations about fairness in politics and making sure that politicians do a better job. And that is a conversation we cannot ignore, and that is something that we must always think about. Politicians have a job to do, but we've also got to work together. And this is what we're trying to do here with this amendment. We want to make it less party political. We want to make sure that politicians are doing a good job for their residents. We want to make sure that politics is fair. We want to make sure that if we can be as proportional as we possibly can to be fair, to consider all the options to be fair, to make sure all the voices are heard to be fair. And the reason I did want to mention the City Hall approach is that we do have a basis of proportional representation. I was elected by that system, and then all the chairs of each of the committees are based on that system. It's a system that works, and all we're saying is that let's have a look. Let's examine it. Let's make sure that we look at all the options there. And yes, you may mention other boroughs. We can mention many Labour-run councils that have a very strange way of selecting and electing their chairs. I have a council colleague in Brent who called it a power grab in their council. So let's not do that. Let's talk about what's needed here, and what's needed here is better politics. So if you want to have more fairness, better scrutiny and better politicians, I say let's support this amendment and let's start working together and let's have some fun. Enjoy this time together, because I definitely am going to enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Councillor Gerard, please. Councillor, do you wish to use your right to reply? Sorry.
No, Madam Mayor.
I now call for a vote on the amendment. Can I have a show of hands in favour? And against? Not voting? For against, we have 24. For 24. Against 29. Not voting 2. The amendment is lost. I now call for a vote on the main report. Is that agreed? Can I have those? That concludes the meeting of the annual council, and thank you all for your attendance. I will see you all at the reception in Merton. Thank you very much. Thank you all.